Now, why all this gaming? I haven't gamed this much since the 80s, as I stated earlier. I'm not even sure I gamed this much then. I played a lot on the weekends and did some prep over the week, but I don't, other than the summertime, I don't remember playing during the week much at all. This is a lot of gaming, and if I wasn't trying to build a whole career in this direction, well, I've been fighting feeling guilty about it. I don't know how many of you ever experienced when you're, or maybe now, or when you're younger, but I remember my mother when I was young saying, if you would spend half your time on schoolwork or housework or whatever, but generally schoolwork, that you spend on insert computer programming, insert role-playing gaming, insert any other activities I did, because I was all over doing all kinds of things, but you'd be an A student, which I was not at the time. And so I keep hearing that in my head every now and then when I do this much gaming. However, since it's applicable to the profession and the whole new area of treatment I'm trying to develop, seems to make sense. So the main reason is I'm trying to hone my gaming skills as both player and game master, refreshing, getting those things to be right there and ready to go, because some things have gotten a little rusty from being more laid back, and then learning systems that I never did learn. There are so many out there, and taking those ideas and different approaches and really approaching this in a much more analytical form than I ever did when it was just a hobby. It's just like doing with the music theory and music therapy. It changes the experience and hopefully won't hurt the experience. Even though I am being more analytical, there's a part of me that's watching both how I'm game mastering and how the players are interacting, rather than are we having fun and maximizing fun and all of that and storyline and mechanics and all of that, as we always do, as all game masters try to do. I'm also in the therapeutic analytic mode going, okay, what's that social interaction mean? What's happening here? And really trying to understand that and observe those at a whole new level. Most of my game sessions, I am video and audio recording with the approval of all the participants. And that's also creating a huge wealth of material for me to draw upon. So it's a little different approach, but so it is a lot of work, even though it is play. It's role-playing games, but applying it as work. And so thus a lot of it going on and trying to get a diversity of different players and groups and systems and settings in this focused way. Now I'll probably have to back some of this off as I get closer to finishing my degree and such, but for now it's working nicely. Another update, RPG Therapeutics. This is new to all of you. This is going to be so right now RPG Research is the pure research wing of what I'm hoping to do. But then there's the implementation from that research. So as research is developed and you get more and more useful data, there's a lot of correlative stuff, but again, I'm trying to get more causal data. Then taking that information and applying it as a specific intervention modality for specific populations, both individuals and groups. So role-playing game therapy, some sort of focused adaptive implementation, strongly from a recreation therapy background. I'm using mostly that methodology, using those templates for program plans, and then using role-playing games as the modality within that sphere of approach. So rpgtherapeutics.com. I'm still actively setting up the website. I'm preparing to go through state registration and licensing process, as well as business licensing, etc. So expect more coming on that in a few months. Working on the research a little more heavily, but that's in the works. I am looking for game master candidates. Somebody approached me recently about wanting to help as a game master in starting to implement these ideas and concepts as a therapy. And that's great. And I haven't been feeling quite ready to go through the interviewing process yet, but then again, I should probably be networking with more game masters. I need to be able to observe different game masters and their styles and see which ones I think will be a good fit for different types of implementations with different groups and different personality types. So I'm putting out the word for those of you watching this. I would like to be able to sit in on your games and watch you run them. Now, if you're doing them online where I can watch, great. If you're not, my transportation range is probably limited to Montana, Idaho, Washington and Oregon for now, and mostly Eastern Washington, Northern Idaho. But with enough advance notice, I could plan to drive out to other locations. Since I'm 6'7" and long legs, and flying is just a nightmare, and so I prefer to only go where I can drive. I used to love flying, and it's just become unpleasant as can be. But if you're within driving range, I'm willing to come out and observe your games if you'd like to be interested, if you'd like to be considered a candidate. The first step is go to rpgresearch.com, and in the over right-hand corner, fill out that questionnaire and state in there, when you fill out everything, that you specifically in the comments would like to be considered as a game master candidate down the road for implementing RPG therapeutics, RPG research. So some of it will be for research, and some of it will be for actual implementation. If you're interested in being a game master for these programs, and this is going to take months and years, but if you're interested, please contact me. You can do so directly through RPG Researcher, that's ER, so rpgresearcher@gmail.com, or through the rpgresearch.com website, or just fill out the questionnaire and comment in there. Won't be acting quickly on it. This is all queuing up as I go through certification, licensing, degree completion, internships, etc. But building up this database of information so that when the time comes, we have all these people, because it's so hard to find everybody. We as gamers are pretty scattered around, and so it takes time to build this up. So if you're interested, it might be years before I call on you, or it might just be a few weeks or months, but please let me know. I do have a few people signed up already that are interested in this that I'll be observing. So another topic is commercial or homebrew role-playing game systems for RPG therapy. Should I use commercial products or use my own homebrew? I have my own homebrew systems with earpg.com, both a very simplified basic version, which is included in the 1940s mystery one that was for autism spectrum to learn how to use civic resources like theaters and such, and also for Tolkien-based others, as well as a more standard and advanced system that's still in progress, but the standard system is coming quite along, which is a more robust system. Additionally, I have adaptations of D20 to Middle-earth, etc. So I don't have any problem about creating my own system, but I think there's pros and cons to either. Obviously, it's going to depend on the individual or group and their specific needs, as well as their long-term program plan goals and beyond the initial program plan, the after the exit strategy has happened. As we implement exit strategy, but you want them to continue. So what I see the pros and cons of this would be that using commercial products makes it so that it's readily available and standardized as far as the game system, although I'll probably still have to do adaptations. But it's available for the participants to continue after the therapeutic process is finished. Most insurance companies probably aren't going to tolerate more than 3 to 9 months, 3 to 6 months probably, of role-playing game therapy. So what happens after that? If they really are getting benefit from it and they want to continue it without having to go through insurance and without necessarily the structure of the therapy, but they now have an activity that helps them engage better socially and helps engage their minds and many other benefits that role-playing games provide, and they want to continue role-playing game. Well, if you use a commercial product, then they'll be able to continue that with a minimum of transition. However, part of the challenges of using a commercial product, is if I run into any licensing, trademark, copyright, or other issues in using it for my own therapies. I don't know what those issues are. I still have to go through all those. I've been through some of the rudimentary legal courses and the psych and such, but I have to go through the more advanced ones. If I use Dungeons and Dragons as part of my role-playing game therapy, do I run into licensing issues? I believe yes, but I'm not certain. And maybe I need to ask them directly, but I suspect I would run into that. So that becomes a problem there. I don't think it's an issue for the research stage, but I do think it becomes a problem for the actual role-playing game therapy implementation. So that means homebrew for the RPG therapy, maybe. So pros and cons. And the advantage of the homebrew is you really get to control the knobs and dials and tweak it for very specific outcomes if it's designed that way as a role-playing game therapy. But it means if I bring in staff to implement this, it's a system they don't know. They have to be completely trained up on it. as opposed to if it's Dungeons and Dragons or some other mainstream system, or at least published system. They may already have the experience and be able to implement with just the therapeutic adaptations, and so ramping up other game masters to implement the therapy would be much easier. So it's going to take time to work out all the legal and practical implications there, but I can see benefits on both sides of the argument. What do you think? Status update on the gender bias research report. So, as many of